smaller market, but national security was the coin. We wanted, and so it could go that far. But if you really, really wanted to get, the cost really down, you had to have a larger market than the number of soldiers that you would sell it to, even though it seems like a large number. And it was the commercial market where that large number of people were that you could actually have a low price, still make enough money to pay for the capital costs that you put in, and to make a return that was acceptable. And so that's the way it happened. Okay. And the people that first were doing this were people on the West Coast who had access to the semiconductor thing, and they were looking for problems that they could solve. This came along, and the rest is history. The rest is history. And you can go and track a lot of these things, and some of them, however, don't have this commercial market. So then it comes down to DoD having to pay the whole freight to go along. In fact, a lot of them don't have commercial market.
How much of the success of DARPA do you attribute to the quality of the people and the human capital aspect of this?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's not. It's the question is, what do we mean by the quality? Okay, not necessarily the people who are really the ones who do something great at DARPA, like we just talked about, are not necessarily the people who really don't like working in a lab. Okay. It's the people who you would say, boy, they really understand this technology, but they get off on the lab part of it. It's really somebody who has who did that, but now has a desire to go and apply it. Okay, and that's the person that really is the best kind of DARPA person. The person who comes in saying, hey, and when I was there, I interviewed everybody. And the question I wanted to know is that why do they want to come to DARPA? And if why do you want to come here? And I would force them to tell me what is the problem that they are really trying to solve. And sometimes it would be a problem that they could solve where they were, and I would say, hey, look, that problem, you don't have to come here for that. You can do it where you are. But that's really, I would judge the person by, first of all, does he understand? But I didn't need him to be a Nobel Prize winner type of researcher, but one who understood this. But also, his bent was on applying it to a problem that was a problem of interest to me, or I mean to me. I don't mean me personally, but to national security. And those people were the ones when they came in. The thing that DARPA gave them was the wherewithal to go and do what they wanted to do. But it was the interview process where people would be picked who had desires that, and sometimes they didn't really know the DoD problem, but you could tell by talking to them that what they wanted to do, it was up to me and other people to say, yeah, and that could easily be translated to solving this problem over here. But those are the people that seem to always be the best. Not those which were great scientists, wrote papers. God bless them, and they do a good thing. But they are providing the information for somebody who wants to take that and apply it. And what we would try to find out is if they want to apply it. I had one guy come in, and he was a computer scientist guy. He was giving me the normal computer science kind of crap. I said, no, come on. What is it that that you really want to do? That you really, really want to do? He says, well, I want to see I want to make a quantum computer. A quantum computer. This is a long time ago. And I thought, a quantum computer. Well, why the hell do you want a quantum computer? He says, well, if I have a quantum computer, I can factor like you can't believe. Yeah. There are algorithms two algorithms that we know we can do it. One was factoring, and the other was fast Fourier transforms, which were signal processing, right? So and we'll be able to solve problems that you can't solve today, just because it takes too long to do that. Now, if I hadn't forced them on that, so what did we do? We started, and of course we had it classified in the beginning, a quantum computer program, which has come out in the open now. But that, it wasn't a guy who he knew about quantum. He knew about the quantum stuff. He was a reasonable expert in it. But his bent was not staying in that lab doing more of it. His bent was he wanted to apply it, and that really is how the people were picked. And I would say. And the other thing that we had in DARPA is that you only could stay. It wasn't a job. It wasn't a job career. It was a short-term job. You might have 3-4 years. So you could go in and you had the opportunity to really go after something that you really wanted to do. And it didn't matter whether you weren't going to probably be there at the end. You could get to start it. And if it didn't work, it didn't hurt you. It didn't screw up your career. It didn't screw up your career if it didn't work. It's not because in our world it was knowing that you can't do it was almost as important as knowing you can. Remember, DARPA's whole reason to exist was to prevent technological surprise. That's the charter of DARPA. That's simple. Prevent technological surprise. Never let the U.S. be surprised again like we were with Sputnik. That was why DARPA was created. And if we could show that something couldn't be done, that was great too, okay? Failure was great in the sense that it wasn't a failure, but if we were going to do something and we ended up showing that you couldn't do it, that in itself was also a success. But that's the organization, and that's really what makes DARPA different than any other place.
So
I'm going to be running out of time, but that's sort of the bottom line. Okay.
Yeah,
Dr. Tedder, that was very fascinating. Quick question. I mean, you obviously get very talented people, very with high level of motivation. My question is, how do they actually, in some cases, get outside of their discipline to collaborate with others during their short tenure at DARPA? And how do you sort of encourage that? And do you encourage it in the first place? And what sort of...
Well, we encourage it, and we provide the ability. I mean, we had ways to have them go and be involved at conferences, to go and tell people what it is they wanted to do. I mean, we would allow them to advertise what they were wanting to do. And of course that was if the organization did anything for them, it was, besides just giving them the money, was to make that happen, allow that to happen, and actually be very proactive in having that happen. About, okay, here's a conference, we got you over there, go and give a 15, 30-minute briefing on what you want to do and why it's important, and we would have them go do that, and that would sharpen up their talk. By the way, that would sharpen up their own mind when they had to do that. That's the way we would handle that. And some people, by the way, weren't very good at doing that. They weren't very good at doing it, and consequently, they were not that successful. And some people were really very good at it, on being able to take this subject and explain it to the unwashed masses out there why the hell this was important, and what they were trying to do. And if anybody had any ideas, come see me because I got money. If you have any ideas on solving this problem, come see me. I have money. I mean, that was the other thing that we were able to do for making it happen. It was not, again, it wasn't rocket science. It was just, just understanding what you have to do to get to your constituency. And it doesn't come to you. You got to go to it. At least in the beginning, anyways. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yes, it does. And related to that, is there any sort of connection between current DARPA investigators and alums of DARPA? So there's a big network out there of ex-DARPA investigators. Do they actually contribute in some fashion?
Well, yeah. It's more of a. We could probably do better in that respect, but people, when they leave DARPA, they typically get sucked off into bigger things, and they look back on DARPA in a very kind way, but don't necessarily come back to provide their thoughts. It happens, but DARPA doesn't really do a very proactive job on that. We have these conferences and all where we make sure that alumni, we have an alumni list, and we have all the emails typically, and so they get that information to come in. But that's about the extent of it. DARPA is a place that you're there for. It's like where you went to school. I mean, think of it that way. You went to school. I don't know where you went to school, but you spent 3-4 years there. And how often do you go back?
Thanks. I have a question on. I just had a question. When you mentioned you mentioned a few times on focusing on the problem.
Yes.
And a few of our other interviewees, and also just on some reading I've done, some people seem to think that rather than focusing on the problem, it's perhaps more important to focus on the solution, and which goes hand in hand with the concept of fail fast or fast.
Well, no, I disagree. When you focus on the problem, when you say this is the problem, that forces you to force on a solution to that problem. Okay? So it's not like you don't thought about, but when you're thinking about the solution, you're thinking about the solution to this